I'd like to walk you through an example of using Minitab to get normal probabilities. So I'm going to demonstrate it in Windows because that's what I tend to use. The lab will show you how to do that on a Chromebook or a Mac, but it's going to be actually extremely similar. They've rearranged the menus a tiny bit, but it's going to be really almost exactly the same. So go ahead and watch this even if you're using a Chromebook or a Mac. It's going to be very close. So what I've used is a salary example. So we can model these upper level management salaries as normally distributed with a mean of 70,000 and a standard deviation of 4,000. Okay, so that's going to be this. The mean will be 70,000, and right, so that 70,000 is right there, and we'll have some standard deviation of $4,000. Okay, so the first probability we want to find is the probability that a randomly selected one of these managers makes less than 65,000. Okay, so 65,000 would certainly be to the left of 70. And we want to find the probability that they make less than that amount. So that's the area to the left, right? Incomes less than 65,000 would certainly be left of this on the number line. All right, so this is the shaded region I want to look for. We could certainly use CDFs like we would in Excel or a calculator or any of that. But Minitab actually has an easier function that basically makes this graph to verify, which will help verify that we actually got what we were looking for, and we don't have to do a whole like 1 minus thing or subtract 2 CDF values or anything. It'll just give us this area directly. So let me show you how to do that. I'll switch over to Minitab here, and we'll go to Graph and Probability Distribution Plot. I want to view a probability. And the distribution I want to use is normal, so we'll make sure that's set to normal, with a mean of $70,000 and a standard deviation of $4,000. Now I'm going to select the shaded area, which will be the left tail, and I want to define that shaded area by a specific x value. Specifically, it's the area to the left of 65,000, so I put that here for my x value. All right, so now I can click OK. And I've got a picture just like I drew. The scale is off because I didn't know where to put the 65,000 exactly on the curve. But it's got that 70,000 right in the middle. It's the area to the left of 65,000, and it's 0.1056, this number right here. So the area of this region is 0.1056. Which is the probability we're looking for, that our income is less than 65,000. All right, so basically Minitab's just going to pop out the number for us, and we don't really have to do any calculations at all as long as we know how to use the software. Okay, so this trend is going to continue moving forward with the other questions. Minitab's actually just going to give us the answer as long as we know what we're doing when we ask for it, right? So we need to be able to request the right information from Minitab, but once we do that, it'll just give us what we need. All right, now let's look at the next one. So find the probability that we've got one of these managers that makes more than 80,000. Okay, well that'll look different. More than 80,000. Okay. So our mean is still in that same place, $70,000. So 80,000 is going to be over here somewhere. And we're looking for the probability that they make more than that. Right? So this is the right tail area before we had the left tail area. These things over on the sides are called tails. So what I need to do now is just go over to Minitab and get that number. So I'll go again to Graph, probability distribution plot and view probability. The mean is still 70,000, the standard deviation is still 4,000. I've still got a normal distribution, so I'll leave all that alone. The difference here is that I'm looking for the right tail area, and specifically to the right of 80,000. So make sure we've got X value checked here, or value, and it's 80,000. Right? So once I do that, I see that's this little region right here. Again, my guesstimated graph is always a little bit different in scale than what actually pops up here, but it is still the same thing, same idea, that we've got 70,000 right at the peak of the bell curve, and I'm looking for the area to the right of 80,000, which here is 0.0062. All right, so that's our answer for the next question. That's that probability. So now we want to find the probability that we've got one of these measures that makes between 65,000 and 80,000. Okay. Again, I just want to draw a picture for myself to make sure that this all makes sense. One of the things we should be checking is, for example, with this picture I drew, since right at this line, half would be to the right and half would be to the left, I at least know that this probability better be less than a half. If it's not, I probably did something wrong. So now we're looking for the probability that we get one of these salaries that's between 65,000, I guess that'd be over here, and 80,000, that'd be over here. So we're looking for this area. Areas are now probabilities. Okay, so let's find that. Again, I'm just going to flip over to Minitab. And go to Graph, Probability Distribution Plot, and View Probability. And again, I still have a normal distribution with 70,000 for the mean and 4,000 for the standard deviation. The only thing that's changing is what kind of shaded region I'm looking at. Now I'm looking at the middle between two numbers. So the first number is 65,000, and the second is 80,000. So I want the shaded region between these two numbers. So let's construct that. When I do, I see that yes, indeed, this is this red shaded region between 65,000 and 80,000, and I get a probability of 0.8881. All right, so again, you'll get some practice with this in the lab. Please go through all the instructions there for your own type of machine, whether it's Windows or a Chromebook or a Mac or whatever. And because this section is really going to rely on you being able to use Minitab to actually get your answers. As you see, once you know how to use it, it's actually really straightforward, and you just take the answer and enter it directly. So please do get some practice with this.